mass incarceration, who are suffering in prisons, who are brutalized in schools. So we remember Oscar today. Uncle Bobby?
Okay, again, hello everyone, and again we say no to urban shield, and as a community we have to come out and speak to this very issue of them coming here to militarize our police department. Over the last several decades, police have increasingly come to resemble military ground troops. Our home is no longer a place of sanctuary. The Fourth Amendment has been gutted, and police today has been conditioned to see our community as the other or the enemy. The 1960s brought about the SWAT unit, which led to military tactics in the ranks of police officers. Nixon war on drugs, Reagan war on poverty, Clinton's cop program, the post 9/11 security state under Bush and Obama. Each of these expanded and empowered police forces, always at the expense of civil liberties, and these are just a few among a slew of reckless programs. Politicians' ill-considered policies and relentless declaration of war against vague enemies like crime, drugs, and terror has blurred the distinction between police and soldier. The battlefield mentality has put police officers on a collision course with the values of free society. Or are we really free? Why was there ever such a thing as the Black Panthers? Well, let's ask Andy Lopez, the 13-year-old who was just recently killed, as we know, in Santa Rosa.
Justice for Andy.
That's right, justice for Andy. Let's think about this. These organizers of these war games go to toy makers. They go to game makers to find out what it is that they can do to help instill within our children the idea of becoming a soldier or an ultimate cop, so to speak. Andy, as we know, had a toy replica gun that these so-called trained police officers thought was a military weapon that was going to be used on them. And yet, they were incapable, as simple police officers, to de-arm a baby, a 13-year-old. We have to remember the insensitivity that has taken place within our community when we deal with these police officers and this mentality that they have as far as combat situation go, and the simple fact that we have children that want to be like them and pick up guns and yet get killed for that very same act. Let's talk about, and let's ask Aiyana Jones in Detroit, the 7-year-old that was killed again by military tactics of a canister thrown through the window, smoke grenade, and yet they come in blazing and killing a poor 7-year-old. Let's talk about, and let's ask Oscar Grant. Johannes Mesley and his partner testified that they thought they were going into combat. And when they came up on that platform, they had that mental, again, thought that they were actually in war. And as we know, as a result, my nephew, Oscar Grant, was murdered. Let's be clear about that. Let's ask Mario Romero in Vallejo. The officer that stood on the hood of that car had just got back from Afghanistan and yet killed Mario Romero in Vallejo. Let's ask Alan Bluford. The officer that killed him, as we know, come back with military training and then took it upon these streets and killed Alan Bluford, and that wasn't the only case that he is basically known to have done. In New York, he has the same history. You know, let's ask poor Derek Jones, 15-year-old in South San Francisco. Club foot, had a broken toy weapon in his pocket, and yet a police officer went under the assumption that this handicapped child, baby, was a threat to his life and went upon and killed him. Yet, like Andy Lopez, what happened to these police officers' ability to be able to engage children and de-arm them? What happened? And yet we have today, right here in the city of Oakland, Urban Shield getting ready to take off. War games within our city. That's right. We need to bull and really speak to this very issue, because what we're getting ready to see is more police officers, again, looking at us as the other, the enemy. And we're going to see more young children being killed at these rogue, heinous police officers that has now been equipped with military weaponry. We have to speak to this. We can no longer be silent about what we're seeing happening in our community. Are we becoming a police state?
Yes.
Are we becoming a police state?
Yes.
Why was the Black Panthers brought in place?
Because it was a police state.
The last days of the colonialism taught American revolutionaries that soldiers in the street bring conflict and tyranny. We got to remember that. Are our police force now becoming militarized in our streets?
Yes.
And if so, what is it that we can do as a community to not just stop it, but change the conditions of this society as a whole? And I'm telling you, today it's going to take us coming here, speaking about this, speaking to all those that you know, so that we can remember, as Rosa Parks did when she was asked on that bus. Hear what I'm saying? When she was asked on that bus to get up, she said all she could think about was Emmett Till's face. She could not get up because she was so pained by that. If we can plant these seeds in all those that are looking across the street and all those that you know to take on the mindset of Rosa Parks and say no more, we have changed the society. So we have to, as a community, as a society, speak to this very issue passionately and from the heart, and be seriously, dead serious that we want to bring a change. Thank you.
Yes, sir.
We want change. We want the end of militarization of our society, because militarization of our society impacts